journey is the reward. Embrace the journey. Don't think about the end goal so much where you're fixated on trying to prove people wrong or, be at the mountaintop without going through the details that it takes to really appreciate it.
There was also part of this interview that he talks about Kobe, right? And he talks about the lessons that Kobe Bryant left for him. And it's so jam-packed that we had to bring it onto the podcast. So let's play this clip.
He really sparks that curiosity even more so because he studied all the greats in other industries in order to help him focus in on what he was doing. He said, man, just you can look at the game and you can study the greats, but really get a world view of all those that are doing great things alongside you. You're not the only one that's dealing with these things. I've studied basketball more than, 10,000 hours, as they say, before you become an expert or a master of your craft. When I got to Boston, I was ready for a new challenge, but I didn't know how it was gonna come from within. And that's why he gave me The Alchemist. It's like the journey is the reward. Embrace the journey. Don't think about the end goal so much where you're fixated on trying to prove people wrong or, be at the mountaintop without going through the details that it takes to really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's the season that I feel like I'm in all of these seasons simultaneously right now.
Let's go.
It's a good time to be alive. But nah, man, I think that's I'm stuck on that part. The journey is the reward. Like you go back to what I just said a couple minutes ago about this void that we feel when we're pursuing these worldly things and we actually do get them and we're like, oh man, I'm empty. Like I remember my first ever like big financial goal that I set for myself was to have $25,000 in my savings account. And at the time that was like, yo, if I could get 25 grand, like I'll be rich forever. Like I felt like I was just gonna be a gazillionaire off of 25 in my savings.
Yeah.
And then I got my final contract to reach that mark and I saw the money there and I was like, almost like looking around like someone robbed me. I'm like, yo, this don't feel right. Like I should be, and I was expecting to be this like big emotion, I don't know, something. And I felt nothing at all. And that, learning that now and just kind of listening to this, like as much as the end result is great and it's important, you gotta follow through, you gotta finish, you gotta do these things. More important is who you become in the process though.
Learning from the greats outside of your industry. Like, we focus a lot on looking at thought leaders in our industry because they have the blueprint, right? But there is so many different perspectives of success. And how he brought it up was like, yo, you're not the only one going through this. Like, you may feel that way and you may only be looking at your industry of some of the struggles that you're going through, the ups and downs of it. But have you looked at all these other successful people because they probably had something similar as well that you may not just be seeing because you're so focused on understanding what your lane is, which is nothing wrong, but it's all about opening your mind to the full definition of success and the full scope of it instead of just what is success in your lane. So that was one of the things that I was like, bingo, outside of the box. Who else is successful and what has been their journey? And looking at that to see if there's any similarities within what they did and what's happening in the industry to almost have a one-up in the industry, right?
Yeah.
So he looked at that, grabbed whatever he needed to do after that lesson from Kobe, and probably took it to a whole new level, So that was one of the things. And then, of course, just seeking a deeper meaning, even though when you have it all and when people think the world of you and you're going into a great opportunity, there still is, trusting the process. Like, and we like me and Moose hear that a lot. Like, if you're in the professional development situation, you hear trust the process almost 24/7, right? Mm-hmm. But until you really grasp it and you really apply it, you really won't understand the importance of it. You just will hear it over and over. When like a few years ago, I used to hear it over. Yeah, okay, trust the process. I get it. There's a process, a journey. That's great, right? But then even now, even with the conversation we had earlier, understanding that every bit of what you do is part of this process, and it has to be recognized and it has to be elevated as well. Mm-hmm. If not, you're going to feel empty. You're going to feel stuck. You're going to feel like it's like right there, but you haven't unlocked it yet. And it's all because, releasing or knocking down the walls of what you knew and being open to what is there for you, while like in before, paying attention to what success really is and what is the light at the end of the tunnel for what you're trying to do.